This is the CitizenLink Report.
If you find our insights helpful, would you support our video efforts? Your gift of $25 or more goes a long ways. Covers the crew, lights, cameras, all that. Just click on Donate. Thanks from all of us. Is it okay for Christian members of the military to share their faith? Or should they be court-martialed? This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard along with Colonel Bill Spencer, who works with our network of state family policy councils. He also flew a reconnaissance jet for the Air Force before he retired and worked at the Pentagon and the Air Force Academy. Quite a resume, Bill.
Thanks, Stuart. Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming out today.
Thanks for having me.
There have been several stories recently that have grabbed our attention. I really wanted to get your point of view on this. One of them, Mikey Weinstein. He heads up an organization called the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which appears to be really aimed at getting people free from any ever opportunity of hearing anything about religion. He doesn't seem to want anyone to have any inkling that religion is happening out there. He wrote this blog for the Huffington Post. He refers to Christian monsters who terrorize their fellow Americans, quote unquote. He attacks pro-family groups, including Focus on the Family, as possessing horrific hatred and calls them world-class cowards. And he cites their, quote, rapacious reign of theocratic terror. And he talks about all of this in terms of Christian members of the military and people of other faiths in the military. What do you make of that?
Well, nobody knows better than the people who serve, those Christians and others of faith in the military, who know that you can express your faith. Jewish people can wear yarmulkes in uniform. I wore a cross ring. It was to let others in my unit know that I held myself to certain values, standards of conduct that I wanted them to hold me accountable to. Those units probably had people that were gay or agnostic or atheist, but I never received one complaint. They were some of the best experiences I had in the military, and those who hear Mikey and others about this know what the truth is with respect to religious expression in the military.
Now we should mention that Weinstein, also a graduate of the Air Force Academy, yes, and also served in the military. The Pentagon recently consulted with him to get his opinion about religious freedom in the military. Should he have a place? I'm going to ask it from the point of view of the other side. Should he have a place expressing his point of view?
Well, the Pentagon will ask everybody on all sides of an issue. It's just that Mikey wanted everybody to know that they asked him for his opinion, and others perhaps on our side may not have been as vocal. But rest assured that the Pentagon will have asked chaplains and others to weigh in on these issues.
What's your reaction to being referred to, and he's talking about groups like ours, as a Christian monster? How do we respond to that properly?
Well, I think we all know that when you are running a nonprofit, you need to raise awareness of what you're doing, and you do that however you can, in whatever forum you can. But I'd stick with the truth and understand that people of values, people who are values-driven, know what the truth is in this, and certainly understand and can place into context what Mikey's saying.
Now, we also had the story recently of the Pentagon spokesman who first said, quote, religious proselytization is not permitted within the Department of Defense, and he went on to say that, quote, court-martials and non-judicial punishments are decided on a case-by-case basis. Well, that got quite a bit of reaction, so it wasn't long before a clarification was issued, and he sent out this statement, quote, service members can share their faith, and he put in parentheses evangelize, but must not force unwanted, intrusive attempts to convert others of any faith or no faith to one's beliefs. And then he puts in quotes, proselytization. He's trying to say that proselytizing and evangelizing are very different things, and that there apparently is some line there where it could lead to some kind of punishment. Yikes.
I don't believe he really understands what those words mean. I mean, putting out the clarification was a bit troubling for people of values and faith, simply because we don't see any widespread coercive proselytization out there. People who are serving in the military wonder about those words, and when you start bringing up non-judicial punishment or worse, court-martial, then you start getting the attention of people who might be chilled to express their faith, their values.
And not the least of which would be a chaplain who's preaching a Sunday morning sermon, gets to a verse from the Gospels that talks about winning people to Christ, making disciples. Does he preach that sermon?
Exactly the point. I mean, the First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. It's the basis really for the Chaplains Corps. You can't send American citizens defending our country all over the world without offering them the opportunity to freely exercise their religion. That's why we have chaplains anyway. So to chill that voice or to have them be subject to commander's discretion for things that they say is troubling.
I think perhaps many of our viewers are wondering, is there a shift within the military concerning its attitude about Christianity and people of other faiths?
Well, I don't know. I can tell you that we have before us today an all-volunteer force that when you survey and make the demographics apparent, end up being from the largely conservative South and the Intermountain West. They express values. They may even self-identify as Republicans. Some surveys put that at 65%. If the goal of this is to chill those voices or to at least put them in their values in the closet, then that's really problematic.
I want to give you a chance to offer your encouragement to Christians in uniform who are watching this, who are looking for some encouraging words, some affirmation of where they stand and what their rights are.
Sure. I think you should understand that your scripture tells you how you should proceed. 1 Peter says it very clearly. You should always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. You should probably do that because you've set apart Christ in your heart, and always forget that you should do that with gentleness and respect. But if someone asks you for the reason for the hope that you have, that's entirely proper and appropriate. That's a divine appointment you need to meet. It's not forcing it on subordinates. When someone asks you for the reason for the hope that you have, go ahead and you're cleared in from my perspective. Understand this as well. We need you. Conservative values. You are a leavening force in our armed forces today. You bring a stability to our armed forces. And Stuart, what really troubles me is that we're kind of making a statement. Should these values be closeted? Are these really the people that we want at the controls of our armed forces to have a belief in nothing, or to have no values or no belief system whatsoever? I mean, these are people at the triggers of mass destruction. I would think that we would want the kinds of values that conservatives, even Christians, would espouse.
That's a very good point. Bill, thank you for taking time to share with us today.
Very kind, thanks.
And appreciate you watching. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. We appreciate your questions, your comments, your concerns. We read all the notes that come in. We don't always get to respond to all of them, but we do appreciate hearing from you. We do encourage you to pray for members of the military who also happen to be Christians and who are trying to navigate this situation and figure out exactly how they fit into all this. Pray that they'll be bold in their faith, and pray that they'll be clear-headed about exactly where the lines are and what their rights are while they're in uniform. And remember, stand tall and be heard.